welcome. Thank you, Archer, for being the only pre-merge player for coming in here.
Yeah.
Very
Oh
much
yeah, the
Uh,
legend.
Sam, welcome. Estelle,
Hello.
Ova, Adachi, and Alison, welcome back. Lots of questions to be asked here. We'll get to the final three eventually, but let's start off with Sam.
Hello.
So Sam, coming back from the first day and starting off the second day with just having to go home, not, even knowing that you weren't jury. So tell me, like, how you were feeling coming back after a whole day just to be first boot on the second day, and knowing that you couldn't even come back for jury.
Not gonna lie, I think I was the first person online, day 2. I was like, yeah, I'm so hyped to do this. I got energy drinks and all, I'm ready to fucking play. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have so much fun with this. And then I was proceeded to get first one out. Quite disappointed, but yeah, it would have been great to be on a jury. I'm pretty sure I said that quite a lot during the season. I at least wanted to be on jury, but sometimes you don't get what you want. And yeah, these guys apparently had a pretty damn good season without me, so I guess get what you get.
So Adachi, your boot was like crazy in a
Unbearable.
sense because I felt like the disappointment in your voice when you knew that you were going home and there was nothing you could do about it, and the only thing you had was to risk it all. That Harrison didn't have anything. So like when you look back on it, tell me how you feel.
Felt like I was gaslit. I feel like Tim and Chomp, my allies at the time, they were gaslighting me the whole time. They were like, no, he doesn't have anything, but they should have just believed that I was right, as I always am. But at the end of the day, it was a good move for Chomps, He did the right thing, I guess, even though he lied in FTC about it, which kind of is counterintuitive. But I'm still tilted about it. Harrison's a bum. If you're watching this, like, shoot me a message and we'll talk about it. But you're on the list.
Oh,
Oh no.
Wow.
On the list.
So,
Dude, Harrison has so many ops this season.
speaking of ops, Ova, so coming into the first swap. So at the beginning of the game, you were sorry, no, I'll ask you that question afterwards. So let's head in right to the beginning of the game, because Faith, the person beside you, kind of like set your fate into where you'd be going into a tribe where you'll be meeting people for the first time, as well as somebody else was, like Venom. But you had to meet all these people on a red tribe for the first time when they've already met each other for a good 45 minutes. So my question to you is, how were you able to like put yourself in that tribe and make sure that you weren't going home the first time you had the chance to do so?
I don't know, I guess I went in trying to be as open as possible. I fully expected to be a little screwed over given the circumstance. I know especially what I was thinking when Faith first said they had this and gotta swap us. I'm like, yeah, no, looking at this cast, they're 100% swapping the pigs. So I was already getting ready, getting prepared to be screwed over, but I went in, made myself as open as possible to any kind of alliance, any kind of working with people, and just made it so that way people would want to work with me. And as long as I was open, I felt like I could survive, and I wasn't too closed off, wasn't like going off in my own circle, so.
Well, which makes sense because, like, at the end of the day, even like afterwards, you still kind of went back and teamed up with some of your old Yellow Alliance in the post swap. And after even that, you saw every single one of your teammates get picked off one by one, being Sam, Istelle, Venom, and you still were able to make the move on Faith later on in the game, which was really satisfying to see because you were the one person that had a lot of fight in them, right? Like after seeing all your your teammates go home one by one, you still had that fight left in you to see Faith go home, and you got it done. Thoughts?
Yeah, I had to outlive one person from who screwed me over in that. I had to take out that person before I had eventually wound up going out myself, even if it was just one placement. It was sad to see all my yellow friends go because I really did vibe with that tribe at first, but it's kind of the game to get swapped off randomly, and you had to play how I had to play, so.
So Archer, sometimes I forget how much Faith actually had in a lot of things going on, because even you went home because of Faith and Controller. right? They
Yeah.
were the two people that backstabbed you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, your original Pink
Well.
tribe, they said, you know, we don't care who we work with as long as we stay. And unfortunately, you were the person that went home. Um, so what are your thoughts on that?
During the season, my thoughts were very much fuck Faith, fuck controller.
Can you look at
I
the
had
cab over here? That's like over here. Thank you.
didn't know you was there. um, but yeah, my thoughts was very much fuck Faith, fuck controller during the season, and getting to watch back the season, knowing that they really did nothing wrong. Like, it was a smart decision for them in the moment. I was a very paranoid player when I was on the season, and I was very much making it clear who I was trusting with. And they could very much clearly see it was not them. So it was a smarter move for them in the long run. So I hold no ill wills now that I've seen the season. During the season, oh, we don't talk about it.
It's all good.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, moving on. So Faith. So initially, I have two questions for you. So one, why was it even when like was it paranoia that got to you? Was that the reason why you decided to say like fuck my own Pink tribe? I'm okay with betraying them. Was it paranoia that got to you thinking that you're going to go home? Because at the end of the day, there was really no risk of you going home at the time. I'm pretty sure it was even in your tribe. Like it was even from Pink to I think it was Red. No, you had
It
more
was a
yellows and pinks
4-3-1.
than red, right? Yeah. So what was the initial thought of like screw it, I don't care?
The initial thought was, as you said, the paranoia kind of crept in a little bit. So I ended up, trying to gauge my options to the best of my ability at the time, and that's what I came up with. And unfortunately, I mean, yeah, it got me to this point, but as you see, wasn't as far as I would have liked to have made it. But in that moment, that's how that decision came about.
And you know what, I'll get back to you with that other question in a second here. But Estelle, I have a pretty big question for you because your tribal council was the most insane thing to me. Your tribal council holds
Yeah.
probably my favorite moment in the game because you were sitting pretty. You were sitting good in a nice middle of your alliance. You had a good alliance going for you until all of you guys got picked off one by one, starting with Sam.
Uh-huh.
So
Sam.
yeah, so it was. I'm pretty sure it was you, Sam, Ova, and Venom, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
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 So that alliance was pretty strong until Harrison, Tim, and Chomp decided to work against you guys and brought in Adachi and controller, which made a 5 against 4, and then
And they didn't vote Harrison with me.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, I voted Harrison.
Thinking that 2 isles if they did.
So
this
Estelle,
is my
just
question.
my initial question to you is just like, tell me
Uh-huh.
how much did that vote just kind of slap you across the face? And like, I knew you kind of seen it coming at some point, and tell me how you did. But initially, I kind of just want to hear your reaction to, after it's all done and you see it on screen. How was it to watch it back, and how did you initially know that you're going home there? Because I know you said you did.
Well, how I knew I was going home was because Adachi told me. He made it sound like everybody was voting for me, even though it was only one vote. Which I thought was kind of funny looking back at it, seeing that, like, oh no, he wanted me out. I didn't really watch the season, so I don't really have many thoughts. I'm really sad that I went out so early, but like also like if I had to go out at some point, I'm glad it was there because like I got to go a little bit far. I think I got to prove that I was at least somewhat of a player. Like I definitely like came to the season. The fans were thinking, "Who the fuck is Istelle? She's not a player. This and that." And I think I proved that I can at least hold my own in the game. But also, I didn't have to be on jury, which I was happy about that because it was my mom's birthday at the time. We were filming that, and I felt really bad being on Minecraft all day on her birthday. So
And I loved how like obviously paranoid you were in the beginning of the game, at least. Like I remember one of your confessionals. It was hilarious to watch back of how like how you would talk about every single person individually and why they would want to go for you, and then you kind of come to the realization after that you're just paranoid and laugh it off. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was very paranoid. Um, I'm a very superstitious person to where like I hold true of that like thing where it's like if you think you're comfortable, you're going home. So I'm always just thinking I'm going home as a way of to like not jinx it. I'm always telling myself like, okay, you're going home here, you're going home here, you're going home here, so that if I do go out, I don't look like a fool. I can be like, I saw it coming.
So Alison,
Yes.
so your journey is a very interesting one to me. Your journey is literally playing from the bottom every single round, being lied to pretty much throughout the entire pre-merge. Like, I think you maybe voted out right once throughout the pre-merge because you were lied to so much.
And I know why.
So yeah, tell me why. Why do you think that people just didn't trust you so much?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say why. And I think it might be the reason that controller lost the game. Um Basically what I know is that controller was turning everyone against me. Like I did nothing wrong. I was just being myself. And he was like, oh, we can't trust Alison. So I would be left out of every single convo because controller did not trust me. That's why I was not in on the votes.
So controller,
I'm pretty sure that's the
you
reason.
want to jump into that?
I don't know if I mean, I could be misremembering. I don't remember telling people specifically not to trust you in particular. I think the only time I ever like fully threw out your name, besides like the final four, was the first vote, and like Vaughn didn't even do that. Like everyone knew Vaughn was going home.
I'm not
I'm
saying to
not-
vote me out. I'm saying you didn't want to include me because you didn't trust me for some reason.
Well, we weren't working together. That's the reason I didn't trust you.
But we were. Like, I trusted you really much, and then you just stopped talking to me. That's strange.
Nah, every time I was working with someone, I had to get involved in a plan. It was always with people that you weren't working with either.
No, because I was when I left, I was like, why would people still be leaving me out of the votes? And I was told that you were you didn't trust me and stuff. And also, I feel like Pink did talk to each other, but we weren't able to talk to each other after Archer went out. That was the problem.
I feel like I didn't
In
have
my
enough
view.
power that would be the deciding factor for people not to work with you, because I had no power. So I don't really know.
I think that you did have power. I'll give you that.
I had allies that were half working with me.
Okay.
That's about it.
So yeah, so that's an interesting way to put it. So Tim, I'm gonna have a question for you here about power in the game, because you seem to have a lot with Chomp and Harrison. You know, you and Chomp were the voices, but Harrison was like the voice, if you know what I mean. So you it seems like you and Chomp really came up with most of the ideas, but Harrison was the one to like really put it out there. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But when it came to power in the game, it really seemed like you three had a lot of it. Thoughts?
Oh, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, it was pretty intentional. Like the moment I talked to Chomp and Harrison, like separately even, I knew that Harrison would have like a lot of, like, he just has that presence with him where it's like he's so confident and like outspoken. And I know that Chomp is like more quiet. So me being somewhat in the middle of that, like, I can kind of do both, but also I wouldn't be targeted as much on either side, I feel like. So it was definitely intentional as far as like Chomp and I being able to just pretty much plan shit and then just tell him, hey, like, I think we should do this, and then have him agree with it, because we knew that would work for all three of us until it was time to cut Harrison. So
Archer.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I think one of
I
my
knew it was me.
favorite moments, one of my favorite moments was when you were talking to the camera, giving a confessional about how Alison couldn't sprint jump. One of the best moments, and also the idol confessional, but we don't have to talk about that one. We'll talk about the when you talk to the camera like this, is it like, are you putting on like an act, or is this how you really act in real life?
So, part of it is definitely like I'm aware I'm being recorded, and this was my first recorded anything. So I definitely wanted to go at it full blazing and give the best version of me that I think would be best seen on a recording. So part of it definitely was a bit hyped up. However, the thoughts definitely 100% me. I just don't communicate them in the way that I did on the season. Like, I am a sassy little bitch, but I know how to kind of rein myself in, and I kind of people please in a way in my day-to-day life to kind of make my life a little bit easier. But in a confined setting, that didn't need to happen, so I just went at it.
Adachi, during the season, I really realized how much of a middle game you tried to play. You tried
Yeah.
staying as middle as possible, but it was almost impossible because how obvious it was how good you were at the game. So I kind of want to know your thoughts about, because I know you as this like very outgoing, loud type of personality, but this season you try to turn it down a bit. I kind of want to know what the process was with that, and how good you thought you played of a middle game.
There were a lot of slip ups, I feel like, where I would start screaming at the challenges or stuff like that, but I was pretty high during the season, so that was helped me like stay calm and not really freak out and kind of be patient. I did try and play like the middle game. I tried to play in a way different from usual because I don't like playing the same way every time because that's not really how I like to do things. And I don't think I could have won if I just rampaged this season. I think I just would have gotten entered earlier. But I'm not really happy with how I played either. I don't think I would play like how I played again recorded, but I think it was good to try once and see how it goes, like see how other people normally play the seasons.
Mm-hmm. And if it means anything, I think you played one of the best games this season. Although you weren't in like the power, you were able to use that to your advantage. And if it means anything, I really enjoyed watching you play.
Thank you.
Of course. So Chomp, let's get to you. Let's ask you a question here. So, coming in as the winner now, let's go back to the beginning of the game where you talked so much about being so close to people and just how genuine and kind you were about it. Is your genuine and kindness was it real, or did you kind of play that part to get further into the game?
Yeah, so while coming to the game, you have to keep in mind, I was a complete newbie to the game show scene. I had joined in April of that year, and I'd only been for like 3 months, played in one recorded where I got second boot, and just overall, I hadn't really gotten the chance to build up really any kind of resume. So coming into the season, I didn't think I would win. I didn't think I'd even get that far. So I just thought, you know what, while I'm here, why not just try to be myself, try to, make new friends, try to form connections, not necessarily for the game, but just to have fun. Like I genuinely wanted to have a good experience. Now the one thing I did play up was definitely kind of the quietness, right? Because I wanted everybody to think I was just this kind of shy little kid that you could trust, that you could talk to. And then I would use that to sort of kind of pull strings behind the scenes. Like for the overvote, for example, I was the one behind that, but Harrison was the one who got most of the blame. And just overall, that was definitely strategy later on. But the friendships and relationships that I formed were definitely real. And, I genuinely had a great time, and I'm so grateful for this experience.
So controller. All probably the best moment of the season is, you could probably guess what it is when you stood up at Tribal Council and you decided to make a scene for what it's worth for no reason. Like I'm pretty sure at the time you thought you were getting votes, but then you were told over and over again that you weren't. But I remember a conversation me and you had before Tribal, and you said, "What should I do?" And I said, "Like, you could always make a live Tribal Council." And he said, "How would I do that?" And then I said, "Well, just get up, leave the call, and go to a different call." And he said, "Shit, I could do that." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Have you watched Survivor? It's just live Tribal Council." So tell me, like, obviously we had a conversation about it, and I kind of know, but tell the audience how that came to fruition, and what was the plan when you knew you were gonna do this? When you knew you were gonna stand up in Tribal and make this live thing, what was the plan for you? What was next?
So coming into this game, I wanted to take risks and just do things that like I've never done before, because this was at a point where I didn't know if I was going to continue playing Survivor or not. But I came into this just like doing whatever. That's why I did like the Archer move. I just felt like I just had to make like these big moves to set myself up instead of playing it safe. And that specific round, first of all, I had no idea that Sam was going home. I knew he was going to get votes, but I had no idea it was going to happen the way it did because I didn't vote Sam there. So already I feel like lost. Not just that I got a vote, which that threw me off. That was my first and only vote of the season, and that completely threw me off. I did find out that it was Istelle afterwards. But what happened that round is I'm paranoid. I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, now I'm getting votes. Am I like on some sort of list? Am I like some sort of backup vote? And I'm going around. I'm trying to tell people. I'm trying to ask people, hey, is the vote Faith? Like is the vote this? Like, what's the vote? And everyone's like, oh, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm hearing your name, controller. But I don't think you're getting the votes. And then that was the conversation. And like that, I got that from multiple people. Every single person I was working with. So I'm already like, okay, I'm getting votes. But you're not telling me who's doing it. You're not telling me if you're involved in these plans. Like you have no idea, and like that's like messing with my head and shit.
Which is hilarious because at the moment when you were in that call with like Venom, Semaj, and whoever else was in there, you said like someone asked you like who's telling you all this stuff, and you just named everybody else who wasn't in the call. So I just thought like you were just making shit up on the spot. Which I thought it was hilarious.
It was genuine. Like that. Like the people I listed were like the 5 people or the 4 people that I had some sort of an alliance with, and that would be Chomp, Tim, Adachi, and Harrison. That was like a 5 at one point. And they're all telling me that I should be worried that I'm probably not going home, but I have a good chance of getting votes. And already I'm like, well, I don't like getting votes. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and just let people vote me. Like, I'm not like letting that shit slide. And then there was a point, like right before I gave that confessional where we had that conversation, no one was joining me. I was sitting in a call by myself. Everyone else was talking for so long, and I was just sitting there by myself at like my lowest point in the game. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, even if I'm not going home, I at least want to do something in case I am. Like, I want to go out with a bang if I am going home. So when the live tribal idea came up, I was like, you know what? I have really nothing to lose, and I think it would be funny. So I stood up and did it. Now, the plan wasn't for the vote to happen that way. That was completely out of my hands. What happened there was me and Faith had like a little skirmish at tribal, a little back and forth. And I said, you know what? Do you want me to give you a name to vote, and I'll vote with you? And I messaged Istelle because I knew Istelle voted for me. And then everyone's mass messaging me saying, hey, are you actually voting Istelle? What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm voting Istelle, but you don't have to go with the plan. I'm just trying to split votes in case of an idol. And that's what I told multiple people. All of a sudden, Istelle goes home, and I'm like, not worst case
one
scenario,
vote, which
but
is the craziest thing.
Yeah, it wasn't worst case scenario. That probably was the best thing that could have happened to me, but yeah, that wasn't really in my control. The live tribal though, that I was always going to do that as soon as you brought up the idea. There was no doubt in my mind. I did not care about the consequences.
Can I ask a question?
Of course. To what? To me or to
controller? To controller.
Yeah.
Controller. If I had never told you that I threw that stray vote on you, would you have targeted me there?
It's hard to say, and I think like it wasn't just a stray vote. It was also because I think you were the only person I didn't talk to merge round, so I already just like had no idea like where your head was at, like who you were with. Like I had no idea. So it is possible. I don't know who else I would have thrown out at that point, but I'm not sure. Probably. That's my answer.
And I guess the only person this is appropriate for, since Semaj isn't here, is Ova. Well, maybe even Adachi, but like Ova and Adachi both can answer this question. So watching your allies go up one by one, what kind of fear did that strike in you? Like, did you just think you were next? What was like your next point of action, and how did you get the votes off of your initial alliance and put it onto Faith here?
Well, low-key, I was only really playing for myself the whole season. Since I was in the middle, I felt confident that I wouldn't really be targeted under most circumstances. So even though they went, I was playing the middle, and they were on starkly on one side. So they'd target them over me, and then I could just flip into the majority after that. And unfortunately, it didn't work out because of the situation. Maybe I should have done a little more to help keep them in the game, but I didn't really know what to do at the time.
Well, the thing with you, Adachi, is that you were essentially really trying to team up with Alison and Semaj. There's a lot of segments where you were trying to just go with the
I was,
at
yeah.
the bottom, and help your game by getting votes for people that you thought just weren't really in it. So, Ova, what about you? What did you think about that?
I don't know. It was kind of like a wake-up call that I wasn't in a control position in the game. I guess I kind of got the feeling I was next, but I still felt like I had ways around it. And obviously, by the Harrison tribal, there was a chance that we were able to get that vote through. There was a possibility that like my game wasn't completely toast, despite having so many of my allies go out back to back. And if it wasn't for an idol, I feel like they could have gone better. It could have not mattered that so many of my allies went out. I was able to make new connections. Alison, Semaj, Adachi at times were all people who I found to be really good allies with, and it almost worked out too. So I don't know. I'm not too upset with how everything went down with that.
And so Tim,
What?
so unfortunately, you know, coming in here and getting third place is never fun. But I just kind of want to hear your initial thoughts on the voting and what you think it should have been.
Well, obviously, I think I should have won, but whatever. I mean, I also knew that like it was pretty much controller versus like one of me or Chomp, whoever they decided to vote for out of the two of us. Because like obviously we were seen as like the duo there, which like is true and everything, but like, you know, I knew if it was probably going to be one of us. And then honestly, I expected controller to win going into it, regardless of what, like whichever one of us got the votes. But I mean, I don't know, like I'm cool with like any of the three of us winning. I mean, I'm not really bothered by it. I guess I'm more so like I guess if I did like have any questions, it's just like, I guess why did I get 0 more than anything? But that's really it.
Yeah, jury, why did Tim get 0 votes?
Awkward.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a follow-up, or
Damn, so y'all
Speak now,
want to say?
Professor
Y'all want to say?
I was about to say
Tim.
I can say why I voted for who I did. I was about to say the main comment in FTC that really made a point of who I was going to vote for was when Chomp brought up giving flowers to all of his closest allies. Because Chomp was somebody I thought I was working with in the game, and when he said that, I realized, damn it, I didn't get a flower.
yeah,
Was I just played that hard? Wow. And honestly, it just left me kind of impressed, and it decided who I was voting for right then and there.
I told you to beat the flowers.
Right.
All right. Thank you everybody for coming out, and let's give a round of applause for this cast one last time.
Yeah. Go Cast. Go Cast. Who punched me?
I did. Don't get it twisted.
All right.
Thank you for everybody who watched the season. Thank you to the production and the cast. It was a great one. And I'll see you guys in season 10.